Доброго дня,
Good afternoon, dear guests. We start our work at Ukraine Crisis Media Center. The topic of today's discussion is announcement of the competition for mini projects for the museums of Donetsk and Luhansk regions within the framework of the project under construction Museum Open. Our speakers are Leonid Marushchak, head of the project under construction Museum Open, Evhenia Molyar, historian, coordinator of the project under construction Museum Open, consultant of the Buchanchuk Museum of Art in Kmytiv. First of all, I would like to say that a week ago in Vinnytsia, we held the workshop concerning the work of the museums, and we had the participants from 28 museums, and these were seminars, workshops from different experts from different fields, including those who are really important for our museums today. We have a good opportunity to present a new stage of the development of the project under construction Museum Open. We will have 6 projects, and we will have a competition, and at this competition all museums of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast can take part, those who are of communal property. In order to know this about this competition and to get the application form, you may get this information at the site of Ukraine Crisis Media Center. So now we will have a page of Ukraine Crisis Media Center on the screen, and in the section releases you may find the release of today's event. So if you scroll, you will see the reference to, and you will see the rules of selection and implementation of many projects of museums of Donetsk and Luhansk Oblasts. So here there are the rules, and you may download them, and you may find information provided by our lawyers. And please focus on point 3. You may find the most important information. These are the stages of implementation of the contest of the mini projects. Our lawyers provided 6 stages. First stage, 22nd, 30 November 2018. This is the stage when participants apply for the participation in the contest. The second stage, from 1st till 11th of December. So this is preliminary selection and organization of expert commission. And the 6 winners will be established, and on the 11th of December at Ukraine Crisis Media Center we will announce 6 winners. But this is not all concerning application form. We choose museums and topics, and then jointly during 3rd stage, starting 12 December till 20th of January, we work further on these projects. We understand the specificity of all these museums. We know these museums and we know the topics they work with. But at the first stage, it is interesting for us to understand what topics they will choose for the mini grants. That's why we propose to our participants, after the identification of the winners, together with the museum experts that we will invite to work on these applications further, in order that they will be good for implementation. Because before we saw that museum workers do not have experience of participating in the grant contests, and they do not have experience in application submission. So this is done in order to help to teach, to work with these projects. This is also to work on topics that can be supported by donor organizations or by local budget who may help to implement these projects. Then expert council will work on them, and then we will provide opportunity to 6 finalists to implement their projects that will be financed, and they will be provided up to 100,000 hryvnias, and this will be done in January and February, and then we will finalize our project on the next stage, and we will do it together with these museums. And so in these rules, it is stated that these projects maybe not only in museums. These projects can be done outside of the museum. Also, we should understand that in order to implement these project applications, there is reference in the rule. There is reference to the agreement. This will allow us to carry out this activity together with museums, because we know that museums are primarily scientific institutions. And if we work with funds, special agreements should be signed. So in this agreement, this will be envisaged. Please know the rules. You should have this agreement on cooperation and to study all the conditions that are provided, that are envisaged by this agreement. At the site, on the site of Ukraine Crisis Media Center, in press releases, we may find application form for museums from Donetsk and Luhansk regions, supported by USBI project financed by USAID, and the form, it is with our logos of our contest. It is easily recognizable. It has 3 main points. The first one concerning information about museum. The 3 years of the work of the project under construction Museum Open, we accumulated a lot of information about museums. We know all contact data, and for us it is important to establish a contact person who will support this project, and it is important to state the information about contact person. And second point is about the project title, name of the project, the topic it touches upon, and at the end there are several hints in the form of questions, and there is an interesting question for museum workers. Do you have a proper body of local government? Does it have a special section that deals with grant applications? Do they have this department in your in your local government structure? So, when you send us application, you should add information about museum and the copy of statute of the museum, in order that we understand, can we work with you in implementation of your project. So this contest is not only to finance these projects. This is to help and to teach, to create projects and to submit them for financing. Because during all these years of the existence of these museums, they worked only with the with local budget funds. So they communicated with the accountants at the regional level. So we do not have a lot of time for the implementation of this project, but we are really thankful to the support of USAID for the support of this project, and the repair works are financed by the USAID, and and Kmytiv will also contribute in the framework of USBI, supported by USAID. Now I would like to give the floor to our permanent expert in the framework of Under Construction Museum Open, Evhenia Molyar, and she is going to tell us about the projects that are really needed for the museums of the East and the projects that she prefers in the framework of technical selection and what forms she will propose to the museums in the framework of implementation of these projects. Good afternoon. This is a very interesting response from our colleagues from museums, how they will work with these applications, these detailed applications for grants. They raise irritation because this is really boring work for cultural workers. So this training, this will be a painful shock for them to complete these 5 pages of application in order that they were provided with skills for further completion of such documents. So all these museums will have some interesting, fruitful projects. Last year we went on a tour around the Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast museums, and we spoke with people. We were interested in the topics they want to work with, and there were a lot of projects directed at the identification or development of local history projects. The NID initiative also supports such projects. How to present modern daily life, in what form it should be represented in the museums. It is really important because there are not many museums that have such expositions, and I believe that this project will have some place for such representation. Also, there are very interesting wishes to deal with modern art, and this is really pleasant for me as a participant of the NID initiative, because we also try to provide this work of modern artists into museums, and some museums are interested in such cooperation, and such projects will be provided for contest. And also we hope that there will be some surprises, unexpected projects among these applications. That's why I really wait with great impatience for the start. So for us it is really interesting to see how museum workers will choose their topics, because we did a lot in order to help them. And last week during the workshop, we discussed that external experts are really important, not only to implement the project, but at the stage of the development of the project. And for us, it is really pleasant that our museum workers, when we announced this contest, they asked for contacts in order to be provided with the consultations by experts. And for them, these projects are really important, and they're important for their communities. And topics that will participate in these projects, these topics are important to unify and consolidate communities to which these museums belong. And this is not just to improve the work of the museum, but this is about the work with the community. And also, we do not support the projects that call on violence or any other negative actions. So when we tried to find logo for our space, and you see this picture on the screen. This is from Stanichna-Lugansk Local History Museum, the place that is associated with the war in the East and all those events that happened there. And not many people see the Stanitsa-Lugansk as one of the places where people grow vegetables for the whole region. So this picture is in the funds of the museum. So this is a worker in the greenhouse, and people grow vegetables and they supply their produce throughout Lugansk Oblast and partly to Donetsk Oblast, and they had the topic of Donetsk Cossacks in the museum, but the museum didn't represent the local life of today, and now they may work with this topic. That's why we believe that this is the good picture in the context of the work of ours with these museums. And during 3 years, we have been working with these museums, and we try to involve these people and to establish cooperation between museums and modern artists. And we implemented the first project in Svetlodarsk town, Lysychansk. Museum proposed to do everything by on our own. We allowed us to do what we wanted, but they were not really involved in the process. And last year we did all the projects together in close cooperation, and now it is really interesting and we have big enthusiasm. We hope that these projects will be implemented by the museums and local community, that they will do it together. I would like to remind who follow these events that were provided during under construction museum open. We had 2 projects in Lysychansk and Slavensk museum 2 years ago, and they got a lot of technical support for the museum and to support these exhibitions. And we came to conclusion that there was a mistake, that we didn't include museum in the development of in the completion of this application. And now we will help museums to complete these applications, and this is the result of our previous work. And last year we implemented 4 projects: Belovodsk Local History Museum and Stanitsa-Lugansk Local History Museum in Donetsk region, Prokofiev Museum and Forest Museum in Dolsk, and we had joint projects. DND group was involved, and also some artists came there and worked there, and also museums like this work, and I believe that they will implement their new projects taking into account this valuable experience. If you have questions, but before this, I would like to say that we downloaded the maximum of information on the site of Ukraine Crisis Media Center, and you can download this information. So there is an electronic address, and you may write all the comments and questions. It will be easier, and we will be able to qualify them and to send our clarifications, because something is easy for us but may not be easy for others, and all museums know our personal contacts, so please contact us and we will be glad to help you. Unfortunately, we have opportunity to do this project only in Donetsk and Lugansk regions, and I believe that Further on, our project under construction, Museum Open, will be able to implement projects also in other regions. Alena Buchanchuk, National Academy of Fine Art and Architecture. My question is about modern work of traditional museum. Where can I find this information about your experience? Is it formalized in some way? Thank you. We have our official web page is cultural diplomacy between the regions of Ukraine and under construction Museum Open Donetsk and Luhansk. So we had 4 workshops, and according to the results, we have the collection of articles, methodological articles written by the participants who were participating during our events, and if you need them in electronic form, you may write a letter, and you will be provided with materials. And if you need printed materials, you may ask for printed materials. We will be glad to share. So we have a really big material basis, and we are waiting for the 4th edition after the last workshop, and we have experts who participate in our workshops, and we collect the articles in the books. So about arts projects, in the framework of the project under construction Museum Open, DND group is present on Facebook, and they provide information about exhibitions, and also there is a page, and you may find information there about all these activities. I have a question. Who assesses this contest? Who is on this commission? USAID or someone else? So museums send applications, we qualify them according to the categories, and then we choose 7 experts who will judge. The only question is USAID cannot finance everything, because it has its own rules. That's why final decision will be provided by our donor. But also we will announce the list of people, of experts. This will be at the site of Ukraine Crisis Media Center and on our Facebook page, so everything will be transparent in order to avoid some misunderstandings. But all the applications that will be provided, not all of them will be financed, but we will work on them, and we will do everything possible in order that they meet the rules that are provided on our site. So all the experts that will select the winners, they will be announced after we see the list of applications first. One more question about the experience. What is the basis of experience when you were trying to modernize the exhibitions of current museums? So Evhenia has big experience, and our colleague Evhenia, she has a big experience in working with museums, and I studied this topic at university, and also I work in this project for a long time. But we are doing everything together with museums, and we invite museum workers who implemented quality and productive projects in Ukraine, in museums and outside Ukraine, because we had many international experts. So that's why we are a bridge between those who implemented these projects and the museums that were participating. We cooperate with the National Arts Museum and Mistecki Arsenal and Yevernytsky Museum, and we will cooperate again with Odessa Arts Museum, Kmytiv Museum. Evhenia Molyar is the consultant of the Museum of Josip Buchanchuk. And what about cultural projects? Maybe we didn't base our activity on anything, we just tried to find the new ways that were not in our practice previously. So we thank museums for the opportunity to implement some experimental projects based on museums. So we didn't do anything with permanent exposition. We did it in the framework of exposition that changes. Last year, the project was implemented at the Memorial Museum of Prokofiev in Donetsk Oblast. After the opening of exhibition, there was a concert of experimental modern music. They have a concert hall there, and for 2 hours, some modern music was performed. Very good musicians performed, and after this concert, some museum workers came up to the director of the museum, and they said, "What was it?" And she said, "So." When Prokofiev performed in 20s, maybe you think that when he performed in New York and his music was really modern and experimental, maybe not everyone applauded him there. So the same process is ongoing now here. So people are rethinking art, and they can do it also in the framework of our project. Thank you. One more question. So in the framework of this event, you should have highlighted the experience of 3 or 4 years of work with museums. Did it happen? So we've said that we will tell about the results of the 3 or 4 days of workshop in Vinnytsia. If you're really interested, if you want to see all the experience of our project, please, you may add our Facebook page, and our manager Ganchar provides all the materials into the special folder, who was the participant of the event and what the results. So if you are interested in information, also you may find information in our methodological guidance. So also you may find information on Facebook. So about Vinnytsia event, there was joint work with museum workers, and in the framework of this workshop, we were speaking not only about modern art in classic museums, but also about re-exposition, because in the framework of our project, many museums in the East got additional financing that they didn't have before. And they faced the problem how to use this money, because they do not have proper methodology for this. We work with the Museum of Kozybinsky in Vinnytsia, and it also goes along this way of re-exposition, and they have also some money for this, and what risks they faced, we discussed, and also it is also important not just to support the old museums, but to create new ones. And in Vinnytsia, they created the Center of History of Vinnytsia, and there will be museum that is under construction from zero. So now they create this museum, and they involve the audience, and also about the methodology and the excursions. And in Vinnytsia, there are many museums for example, the museum of some transport, some tram museum, fighting vehicles museum, and the German specialist came, the head of the foundation of Memorial Museum, and he said that there was a small initiative of students, and then it transformed into the major project, and now this is based in Berlin, and he told us about it. And also there was presentation by Evhenia Molyar, because external foreign experts were invited in order to provide something new to museums in order that it broadened its audience. And then external experts came on the request of the management of the museum, because there is no proper practice of involving external experts. And jointly with our museum workers, we discussed these problems. And also there was a tour supported by Polish Institute, and 4 museum workers went to museums of Poland, and they shared experience with their colleagues. They met other museum workers, and also for the first time in 3 years, I delivered one seminar on rebranding or creation of new logos for museums. And I shown the example how I work with this and what is rebranding in the world. And this was really interesting, because museums, they want to create nice logos, but logos do not change museums. And we had the quota of 35 people, but we had 41 participants, and there is constant request, and our audience increases. And the most important is to say that in these 3 years we created the museum community that is interested in cooperation, that initiates even some processes, and we see the request and we try to meet it, and they are ready to cooperate further, and they constantly cooperate among themselves. And the Donetsk and Luhansk community of museum workers, they are in the constant contact and cooperation. And in Lugansk region, they created the Union of Museum Workers, and this is in controlled territories. And in Donetsk Oblast, these processes are also ongoing, and they create such association. And in Lugansk Oblast, they even bring some finances to this organization. So it is difficult to discuss all the issues that were raised during our workshops. But please, you may find information on our website pages, and also there is a view where we are going to move further, because everyone is interested in this development. Do you have other questions? If you do not have other questions, I would like to say that all information on this contest you may find on the UCMC web page in the form of press release. And also we will publish it on the social media, cultural diplomacy between regions of Ukraine, and under construction museum open project Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast. So you may find it also in Facebook page of our participants. You may get this information, find this information, download it, and participate in this contest, because this is good opportunity not only to implement the project, but also that you will be provided with help how to develop it, and also you will be able to provide, you will be able to apply for other grants, and there are a lot of such programs in the east of our country. Thank you.